Go. All right, welcome, Alex. This is episode 6 of the Spotters podcast with Alex Caballos. Let's see. Thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Glad to be here.
Excellent. We're running a little late. We've been kind of distracted with a few things today. I had my morning with family and visiting the USS Baton that was in the port of Miami. That lasted pretty much all afternoon, so I was busy with that, and then having to rush home in traffic. So bad planning on my part.
Miami traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to start off with a little segment I'm calling lens cleaning. It's correcting some of the issues I've had in some of my errors that I've committed in previous episodes. For example, on episode 3, I had mentioned being on the ramp with the VMM 266 Fighting Griffins at Opalaka, and it was my mix-up because I had both squadron patches next to each other. It was actually the VMM 162 Reinforced Golden Eagles. They were also on the Baton today. We got to see some new faces and interact with them a little bit. And then in episode 4, I kept on saying that I used a Nikon D300, and that was I still have that camera. I don't use that currently. I use the D500 from Nikon. So that's my two little errors that I've done in previous episodes. So now that that's out of the way, what's going on? What's new?
Not much, man. I mean, besides now we got the Fort Lauderdale Air Show coming up. I think I'll kick it at the airport for that day because I couldn't get the day off on Saturday. But since I work there, I mean, it's a plus, so I get to see him depart. But nothing much. Work today at the tower. We got a new tower sim that's running, so they trained us on that.
Cool.
And, we were running Fort Lauderdale approach with these 2 new controllers that are coming in.
How do you are you still with Raytheon when it comes down to being a remote pilot? Is it Raytheon
No,
that's at the tower?
it's not Raytheon anymore. It went from Raytheon, then it went to this company called WCG.
Yeah.
And then WCG, some mishap happened. That's a whole nother story. And then SAIC, which was the parent company at WCG, just kicked them out, and we're SAIC now. We're remote pilots under SAIC under the FAA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was in WCG and I started the remote pilots as a remote pilot at Miami Center with WCG. And when I left 2003, so I started doing that remote piloting.
Probably know my supervisor, Jose Palacios. He was an RPO at the center.
Huh. That was probably after me.
Yeah, probably. And there's a controller actually at Miami Tower. She's a Maylene.
Yes, she was a remote pilot with
with us. She's at the Tracon now.
She's at the Tracon. Is she just Tracon certified?
She's an A-sider, so she does the tower and then 7 of the 14 sectors of the Tracon.
Wow, she's an A-side at the Tracon?
Mm-hmm. They made her an A-sider.
Huh. How is that?
I don't know how that's chosen nowadays. It's randomly chosen, so sometimes it's an injustice to some people when they come. So let's say you come from a radar facility, like if you come from N90, you expect to be a B-sider, so just strictly radar. But sometimes you get these tower, there's a kid from St. Thomas. He came from St. Thomas. He didn't make it here, but he was made a B-sider for some odd reason. That they started off on Romeo Foxtrot Julia, which is the sectors for Fort Lauderdale's approach and planes aircraft going into Fort Lauderdale, and he didn't do too good. But you would think they would, since he came from a St. Thomas Tower, they would stick him as an A-sider, start him in the tower, and then work his way through to the radar. But sometimes I don't know how they pick and choose that.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know too much of the tower. Most of my experience is done at the center. So it's all completely different to me.
Yeah. So. It's a different environment.
I see you taking a lot of shots at the tower. Are you doing that on your... I don't want you to get in trouble, but you doing that on your break time?
I do that on my break time. I do that on my break time. And I sometimes do it after work. One thing everybody tells me is that I have the luxury of being at the tower. Yeah, it's a luxury, but usually half the time, these photos are taken like after work.
Yeah.
If not, they're probably... It's on my break or we're done working and whatnot. And, I already did my self-study of any new possible things that need to happen. So that's what I'll do it. I don't do it all the time. Or sometimes, my supervisor's like, hey, we got, like when the F-16 did low approaches, the TRACON supervisor actually told us that. So they stopped the problems and everybody went up to the tower to go see the F-16s do the low approaches. Yeah. So in different cases, they let us go up there, us aviation nerds, because there's some coworkers of mine, they could care less on, what's happening outside of the tower. But I heard the Makos were doing low approaches, and, you and me, we love the Makos, so I definitely went up there and got to see the hometown boys tear up runway 9 for a few. I think they probably did it about 5 rounds, and then they landed. And it was a cool experience to see that. But even rare aircraft that come in, like on my break time, I posted a shot. I think the latest one that I have posted in a little bit, maybe about a week, but it was Condor, and that was at night. I was at just when the sun was about to drop, just a little last drop of sunlight that was coming through. That's when I got Condor, and that was on break time. And then after that, it was head downstairs and continue training.
Man, that's such a rare jet to see down here. I don't even know anymore what carriers are supposed to come into Miami. I'm just never been interested with commercial jets. I was when I was, studying to be an aircraft mechanic, but when I was like, okay, aircraft, commercial airliners, trying to work with them. But since getting into air traffic, it's like, man, I can't. There's so many. They all look the same to me.
I mean, it's not like how it was when I was a kid, where you had tons of airlines, tons of how the older guys, like Joe would say there was a lot more variety back then, because there was a lot more different airlines, like South African Airways. Sadly, it doesn't exist anymore, but I got to see it during COVID when it did repatriation flights. And a lot of the old birds that we see, like the A380 is a dying breed along with the 747. We don't see as much of those birds anymore. After COVID, you have British Airways that got rid of them. And British Airways retired them right after COVID, and that happened. That was that. And you never got to see another British coin again. And all you saw was the A380, 777. We got to see the 787-10, which was actually the first one that showed up to Miami, if I'm not mistaken. For the 78X, we got the British Airways. But other than that, a lot of variety after COVID just died out, and it's not the same. It's not the same anymore. Paint schemes come and go. Like Condor decided to bring their
green zebra.
They look like prisoners, honestly, in different colors, but they look like convicts. That's what one of the controllers told me, that they're just A330s with stripes on it. And apparently they're getting A350s, but as of right now, I only see the 330s in them.
Yeah, I'd like to catch one of those condors, but no one on the ground can compete with your views, man. Shots from the tower are always going to be epic.
Shots from the tower are really nice. There's a few spots that you can get great shots. West stops I like personally because they take off right in front of your face, off of runway 27 and 26 right. So all you have to do is just walk around the catwalk. You don't have to drive from point A to point B and start chasing them. But
Yeah,
in the case of like arrivals from the east, when our east operation, runway 12 is prime for me because they land right in front of you. You just look down and they're right there. That was the shot that I got of Condor and a few others. I have a 757 picture of a runway 12 shot. It's just burnt, it's smoking, and you see every single detail in it, and that's why I like 12. Runway 8 right's a hit or miss depending on your focal length because heat haze does play a factor. That's the only bad part about the tower. So if it's a very heat hazy kind of day, tower shots are not really what you want. And everybody says, "Oh, but the tower, this you can see everything." I go, it's not as much as you think. I'm not saying that because I have the luxury of doing it. I'm just saying because me personally, I like the close-up and detailed shots of aircraft. I like my close-up shots. I love that, and I will always cherish. And I was taught to do it that way, and I've always liked it ever since I started photography and started looking at the Instagram pages of all such, and it was great.
yeah. Sorry, I sent you a little message. If you move around too much,
Yeah,
it lags the video a little bit, so
yeah.
kind of like limit your head shake.
I thought somebody else was messaging me.
Sorry. And how's your gig at Fort Lauderdale? I mean, you're like getting all the behind the scenes action.
So what I do, so just to tell the people that are watching, I'm a remote pilot operator at Miami Tower. Remote pilot operator, no, I don't fly drones. I'm the one behind the scenes that when they come to the Miami Tower or anybody going to Fort Lauderdale International, Fort Lauderdale Executive, Tamiami, or somebody that's coming into the Miami Tower and TRACON as a radar controller or tower controller, they have to go through me and a series of instructors that teach them to pave their way into getting CPC, which is checked out in the positions that they need to go, that they're assigned to do when they get there. And I learned all the rules and regulations to Miami Tower, all the altitudes. So all the things that a controller needs to know, all the aircraft types, their performance, basically all the sectors, all the altitudes that the sectors own, how a pilot acts, because we also have to know how the pilot reacts, because a lot of my coworkers, they don't really know how pilot reacts unless they actually know and spoken to one or have heard it on the frequency. So we usually plug into monitor controllers to see what we can do in the scenarios to change it up. Just like the other day, I had a controller. He kind of was pretty pissed at me because we were doing Miami approach, and Miami approach from the south is Sierra Alpha sectors, and they're the ones that land on runway 9, and it's a lot of South American flights that come for runway 9, and you see a lot of the heavies come in, and the guy got pissed at me, and he goes like, you got to stop doing the accents, because I started doing Hispanic accents, and the instructor encouraged it because that's how it's going to be in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I told him, I go, listen, if you think you're going to get pissed at me now, I go, imagine when you're actually running that approach sector, you're going to be really mad, because a lot of the European flights, if they don't go to 1-2, they go to runway 9.
Yeah.
And I told him, you got a treat for you, because those accents are going to kill you sometimes. And sometimes you'll never understand them. You're going to have to tell them, I don't understand you.
Yeah, it's funny. I started, I didn't know you guys did all the training for the other airports within the approach. I think that's really awesome.
Well, we just do the tower. We do the tower. So it's just Fort Lauderdale Tower. So when they come, they do ground. They do clearance, ground, local, and then they go back and they do OJT. So it's not like Miami's tower where it's pass fail. It's a pass or fail in the sim. In the other airports, it's pass. So they're just learning. They're just using the sim for familiarization. But they also have evaluations to see, because the supervisor looks at those evaluations and sees where they are to see if they're worthy of it, if they're going to be trained or not. But I think the last airport we trained was Fort Lauderdale International, and that was fun because it was a kid that didn't know about RNAV departures, and he came in and he got it pretty well. And another girl, she came from somewhere in Kentucky, and she came to Fort Lauderdale, and she's doing great now because I talked to her on the landline and ramp control. Yeah.
That's cool. So you guys do
when I train them.
So Miami, you do training in Miami, training for Miami controllers, Fort Lauderdale International, Fort Lauderdale Executive.
Yep, we do TMB. We do FXC, TMB, FLL, and we don't do the other satellites because they're contract towers.
Yeah, so that's cool. So you guys do the TMB. They do the training over there, and then the familiarization at Miami Tower, and then they come to the facility, and
they go back to their home facility, and then they do the OJTI hands-on.
Yeah, well, that's cool. At least they don't have to send them. At least they don't have to send them all the way across the country to Oklahoma to do all the tower training.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, it's not like it is now, since those satellite airports are higher level facilities now. Like, I believe now, due to more FBOs and more traffic coming through Tamiami, they're going up to like a level 9, which is pretty big for them.
Yeah,
and they're getting a new tower within the next few years, apparently. And
yes, I heard that also.
And they're not sending Oklahoma City Academy graduates to Tamiami. They're sending them to airports like Orlando Executive or like Cape High. I've seen St. Petersburg on the list a few times, Sarasota, something like that.
Yeah, I think right now we're fully staffed at Tamiami. I think they might have like 2 people training, from what I was told.
Yeah, Tamiami, there should be.
I don't know. I start next month.
Aha! I'll see you.
Yeah, no, I don't start as a controller. I'm like administrative over there.
Okay.
So I'm leaving the center environment, and I'm going to the tower.
It's a lot closer to home.
Oh yeah, man! It's like half the distance, so it's gonna be nice.
I can imagine.
And then what do you do? Oh well. Let me finish my second thought. When it comes down to making accents, when I did it in 2003, 2004, or I think it was maybe 2004, 2005, I also was doing accents as the pilot. Yankee Victor call signs from Venezuela, dude. It was. I got yelled at a few times because the controllers couldn't hear me. It is what it is. It's okay. I mean, we're trying to help them. We're trying to teach them how to be a better controller, by trying to understand. And if you come from the, Midwest or up north, you don't hear that often. So it's
no, you don't. And I think it helps a lot with the controlling, because here in the Miami Tracon airspace, South Florida control. It's a statistic that when I was in school, I don't know if the percentage changed because I haven't checked it yet, but at the time, this is the year 2019, 2020, 52% of the world's pilots trained here in South Florida. And I believe it, because when you look at that airspace, it's congested. At every satellite airport is doing pattern work. You hear everybody. And it's not just this South Florida. You got Vero Beach, Fort Pierce, that's technically part of the southern region. And there's a lot of international students, and those accents, I think I do. They thought I did it as a joke, but I'm doing it as, it's true.
Yeah.
Because in Fort Lauderdale, I hear it, and something as simple as a Rouge pilot. Rouge pilots come from different areas, like a Toronto Rouge pilot, Air Canada Rouge pilot. They'll come in like we're talking. They'll say Rouge 1606. But then you get a flight from Montreal, and they're like, Rouge 1603. and they'll come in and they're rolling on Bravo Tango 2 to Delta Tree, and they'll say that, and they're French. It's a French accent, and a lot of people, some are thicker, some are just fluent, but I think it really helps the trainee understand that it's not just going to be, Delta 1512, because even Delta pilots are Hispanic. There's Hispanic accent Delta pilots. There's American pilots, United, you name it.
Then you have the Qatar pilots that are coming in, and I hear them. They call us like 2:00 in the morning for a flight plan that's departing at like, I don't know. Let's see, what's 10 o'clock is 6 o'clock local, probably 9 o'clock in the morning local, 1100 Zulu, and they're calling us for just to see if they have the flight plan. I'm like, really? Can you call me back in like 7 hours when I've left after my mid? But sometimes I hear them and I'm like, you need to repeat that call sign, and you need to repeat it slowly. I cannot understand you.
Yeah, I mean, even the clearance delivery guys, sometimes they're just over it at like 8:30, and they're looking at the flight script going like, something fell. And they're like, they just look at it, they're like, and then it's like a LATAM cargo guy that's like empty, and he wants to leave, and he's like, LATAM cargo, and they just spit it out, and then they're like, say again, and then they roll their eyes, and then they just slam the strip onto the table. They're like, we got to read this route again.
You know what? I'm actually trying to. Have you put into the problems there? There's a Sierra Kilo X-ray identifier.
Sierra Kilo X-ray.
Yeah.
Sierra Kilo SKX.
SKX.
I've never heard of that one. SKX.
Yeah, they call. I can't find it on here.
Oh, that's Sky Peru. That's Sky Peru.
Sky Peru. Yeah.
Sky Peru is they come with I think a 321, 320 Neos come in. They're a fairly new airline to Miami. A few years.
Yeah, their dispatcher is very hard to understand, and we've trained them to say the letters and the numbers clearly, because at first he was just like I was like, what? You need to slow down, letter by letter, and we're helping them. I think we're helping them on either.
You ever had to deal with the Azul pilots?
Yeah. Dude, we get so many calls. We have, I think our flight operations are about 9,000 a day at Miami Center.
That's a lot.
And we get all day long. We're getting phone calls from dispatchers. So, it would be nicer if I had more military offices calling me, but it's all South American air carriers, American, Delta, United, JetBlue is calling every day. We have to work on their flight plans, making sure that it's in the system before the controllers get it.
I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, I like it.
I like it.
I learn the accents. I even when Azul taxis out, I say I go bon dia, obrigado, and then they're like, so the guy that taught me how to say good morning and like good night. He's like, oh, you've got better. He told me. The same pilot. He's like, you got better. I was like, thanks. I appreciate it.
So what's your job at Fort Lauderdale?
My job at Fort Lauderdale International, I'm a ramp controller. So I do the non-movement area, taxiing in and out of the aircraft.
The stick.
No. I sit in a dark room. And it's not a tower. It's not a ramp tower like usually you see on top of terminals. This is it's in a command center in the fire station, and we got a dark room. And there's what we call PTC cameras, and it's position and point zone cameras they're on top of each terminal, and they get to move around, and we get to zoom in and out to see what gates are open, what gates are not, where the aircraft are. Basically, like a tower, but you're just switching to a bunch of cameras, like live feed cameras that are there's no lag to them. That's how good they are, and I love them. We have thermal cameras to see if pilots are lying to us of doing crossbleeds in the ramp, which they're not supposed to. I had a Southwest pilot that he pushed back into the alley, and I see on the thermal camera, I look up at it and go, both of his engines are on. And he said he needed and then I just cut off my thought, and I go, sir, are you doing a crossbleed? And the Southwest pilot just keyed up. He says, damn right. That's what he told me. And I was like, you know what? You have my respect for saying damn right. I was like, okay, have fun. I'm like, he's already committed. I'm not going to tell him to shut off the engine.
Yeah.
Because they have to use more thrust to power up the other engine sometimes and pass a little bit of idle. So the jet blast does affect anybody that's behind them, any ramp crews or vehicles could get damaged or anything. So they want to prevent that. But ramp control is really fun. I got a friend over there, Matt, and then I got another friend, Alex. He's actually friends with one of the controllers at Miami. He's the one that gets me next to the runways on my break sometimes and gets to see the cool stuff I get to see. Like yesterday, I got to see Aaron Fitzgerald's Red Bull helicopter.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool, and I got to see Kevin Coleman's extra 300, and then I got to see Thunderbird 8 because that's the public affairs officer. They're always the first ones there. And who else? Oh, and then I think 3 days prior to that, on Friday, I got to see George Clooney's plane because he was here for the F1 race, and then on the side it says Casamigos for his tequila.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So he's got a new Gulfstream, and it was really nice. And who else did I see? Oh, the reggaetonero, Maluma.
I don't know.
Maluma's. Yeah, I figured out who he was a few days ago, and apparently I was supposed to know who he was about pop culture, and apparently I'm uncultured. I guess so.
And then I think today the Thunderbirds are coming in. The rest of them, or at least one more tomorrow.
All of them came in today, I think.
Today, yeah. And then, tomorrow's the A-10 is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thursday is supposed to be F-18s, I believe. I have a schedule somewhere.
There's a schedule here that shows the actual. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember, but I believe the Thunderbirds were first. Then you had, I believe, the F-18s, and then I don't know if some went to executive. I don't know who went to Fort Lauderdale executive. Some performers did. But who else? You got the A-10. I don't think the F-1. So you have the F-18, A-10, and I think I'm missing a jet.
Well, the Ghost Squadron looks like it's coming in on Thursday.
Okay, then.
So that's the Polaris.
So I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I got to work. So hopefully I can. I don't know.
Reluctantly, I got
also,
one of those days off.
KC-135 is also coming in on Thursday.
Okay, yeah, they'll be parking in the signature ramp.
Yeah.
Because usually if they don't fit in that Jetscape area where they park, they'll park them at the overflow there at Signature, because Signature has the government contracts.
Gotcha. And then you're going to the show this weekend?
Sadly, no. Because I couldn't get the day off because everybody had requested the weekend off. Or nobody wanted to swap, at least, but it wasn't even for an air show. I tried getting one yesterday, but this guy, he was already put on overtime on Sunday, so I didn't want it to work back-to-back shifts. Yeah. So I was like, and it's Mother's Day weekend, so I wanted to in the afternoon because if I go to a beach show, it's gonna drag me, and you're gonna be exhausted. Yeah. So I decided to just kick it over there at what was it? In the afternoon, I got the Mother's Day thing going on, but I'm probably going to catch the arrivals and the departures at work through the day, and then just get out of work and maybe catch the later part of the show, and then kick it back home.
Are you going to the Miami Air and Sea show?
That one, 100%. Yeah, that one is 100% on my list. I got that off.
Awesome.
I got that off 100%.
Yeah, I'll be there. I got a midnight shift on Saturday, so I'll be there on Sunday also. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
It's gonna be probably. It might. I don't know. It might be the last show for a little bit because I know there's Sanford coming up. Not Sanford. Is it Sanford? Stewart. November,
That's
October.
Yeah, Stewart's way. Yeah. That, like, here in Florida, that's one of the last shows we get because we just had.
Well, the last one is Pensacola.
Within the span after. Yeah, but within the span of that we had after Sun and Fun, I think the air shows that were happening was Sanford, and then after that you had. After that you had. What was the other show? You had Vero Beach, then you had this other
Panama City.
Here that just happened. Panama City at Julius and the squad over there went.
Yeah, they got some insane vape.
Yeah, they got some. Yeah, I know. I was jealous because I've never been to Panama City Beach, and it looked really nice. Obviously, it looks better than work, but it was Panama City, and then Vero Beach had the blues that weekend as well.
And then Century Savannah is supposed to be happening right now until the end of next week.
That's right. I was going to ask that, but I guess I already got.
I'll probably be up there next week on my days off. And then, unfortunately, since I'm starting this new gig in June, I'm working Monday through Friday, so there's no more down to the Keys and catching any tigers.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm be stuck on the weekends.
That's true.
I mean, maybe if I have
at least on the weekends you still got it.
Yeah. It works. It would just be a little bit more scattered out.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so used to kind of doing all my stuff during the week, going groceries, or if I got to go to Home Depot or something, it's easier during the week. I'm not looking forward to weekend traffic or the weekend crowds when it comes to, having to go to Publix or wherever else.
I mean, it depends on where you go. Like if you're going to Costco, you're definitely just going to stay there. Still.
That's an all-day event.
Yeah. But, I mean, other than that, the next air show is probably Stewart, and that's the end of my chapter. A show that I really wanted to go to see the Harrier was
Cherry Point.
What was it? Was Cherry Point, and that's where
this weekend.
That's where Joe's actually on his drive up now.
Yeah.
He's going up there, and he says he might stop by Savannah because Century Savannah's going on as well, as you said.
Yeah.
But Cherry Point would have been a nice show. I really do want to go out to one of the red flags this year so I could at least experience it. I haven't experienced a red flag yet. So that's one of my plans this year, to go out there and experience red flag at least throughout a week so I can take some weekdays off and head over there.
You're saying 2025?
Yeah, in 2025.
They're throwing a red flag. I think the next red flag is in July, and it's going to be hotter than hot out there.
Oh yeah, when it gets hot. I think the hottest when I was in Vegas was like 117.
Yeah,
117 dry heat. I mean, 96 and sweating here is terrible. So when I was in China Lake, California, that was brutal. It was a high of 110 when I was out in China Lake. And China Lake, that's when I went to Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake, and I went inside. This is before me spotting and taking pictures.
Yeah, it shows
and
here red
it
flag
was hot out there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
24/3 is July 15th through August 2nd. It's going to be like 100 and
Okay.
something out there. Brutal.
Oh, you have no idea.
And then, yeah, weapons school is normally in November, December.
Uh
And then they have
huh.
this
Uh,
other
I don't
exercise.
really know the dates. I haven't been paying attention to those. I mean, I've been so focused on work that sometimes I forget what I want to do. Sadly,
Yeah, I mean, same here, man. It's just been busy this year.
it's been really
24.
busy.
The first red flag is normally you get a lot of cool bombers and stuff coming out there. So if I do it again, it'll probably have to be a different red flag. I think I did 24 or 23-2 last year. 23-2.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know you went out there. I think Joe went out there last year too, but he did the
Yeah.
later. You think he did like in December?
Nah, he
December,
was out
November was.
there. Yeah, he was out there at the end of March. So he came out like a week after I was there. So
Oh, okay. Because he said it snowed there up there.
yeah, yeah. That's it
Said it
for
was
me as
cold.
far as military air shows go.
That's it
I'll
for
try to
me
get
too. I mean,
some other things.
other than that, I mean, if anything shows up in Homestead, or I mean, in the Keys for the time being, I mean, nothing's been showing up in the Keys lately
Yeah,
that I know of. But I mean, yeah. Other than that, I think Stewart is going to be it. I mean, so I want to go to Jacksonville to see if I can get some of the Fang F-15s, but we'll see how that rolls.
yeah. There's a good little spot. You know, you could catch almost everything if they're going out west, coming out of there. We went up there. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that with Omar. We did McDill Air Show. Maybe it was last year.
No, it was
No,
2 years ago.
yeah. So 2022, we did McDill Air Show,
Mm-hmm.
and then me and Omar drove up to Jacksonville and stopped at all these little airfields. We went to Cecil,
Mm-hmm.
uh, did a tour up there. We did Jacksonville. We stopped at Jacksonville International, but we didn't really go and see if any F-15s were taken off because they did a flyover and overhead at Jacksonville NASJAX, and then we did a kind of like a little drive by at oh man, what's this little airport just south in South Jacks? It has we were looking for something and we didn't find it, but we got followed down there, so that was
Oh,
interesting.
really?
Green Cove.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm not familiar with that area.
let's see, Green Cove in Jacksonville. Jackson. Let me see the airport name real quick.
Let me
Green
see.
Cove Springs. Reynolds Park Airport.
No, I have actually never heard of that
Yeah.
airport.
So across the way at the so that whole area used to be like Navy property, and they still have these
Oh,
Navy
really?
transport ships there. They're being retrofitted or who knows what. And then
By the Navy, for the Navy?
say what?
Are they being retrofitted
I
by the
don't know.
Navy,
I
for
don't
the
know what's
Navy?
going on across the street. It just looks like a maybe contractors just taking them apart, or they're like little PT boats. And then also down the street somewhere, they have this old um, fuel tank from the shuttle program.
Okay.
Um, and it was supposed to go to a museum, but then the
Oh, is
museum
that the
closed
one they
down, and they
abandoned?
just yeah, it's just parked there. Like
Yeah.
it arrived and it never left. But there's other there's
Surprised.
another government agency that works down at Reynolds Air Park. So
Just know if one of those
yeah,
Miami scrap
we got
metal guys
followed
got a
by
hold of
someone.
that.
Oh man, they
If
would.
one of the they definitely try to
Yeah,
make money off
they would probably
of that. That's why the South
yeah
River Drive.
yeah they'd probably try to put in their pickup truck and drive to the scrapyard.
Oh, fine after. But I
Yeah,
mean,
for
yeah, that's
sure.
it for the air show stuff.
Um,
Other than Stewart, like I said, and maybe a few exercises, or maybe going to a range day up in Ocala because I
cool.
know a bunch of A-10s from Moody go there. I've seen KC Hogs go there, but that's if KC's close by to
Yeah,
where they are stationed. But usually it's a Navy base, a Navy bomb range up there in
yeah,
Ocala. It's
yeah.
Pine Castle
Pine
Range, I
Castle.
think. And yeah,
Yeah,
Pine
Pine
Castle
Castle.
Range is up there, so that's nice.
Joe's up there actually.
Yeah, he
Going to go
is. He
check that
is.
out. I think we're gonna have Joe on the podcast. We talk about him a lot, and it's probably a good idea to
Joe's
have him
like
on.
granddad.
He has so much knowledge, man. He has so much knowledge from the Navy,
I told him to write a book.
Army. Man, he probably could, and those pictures would be epic.
I told him to write a book. I told him, I mean, who wouldn't want to read that story?
Yeah.
It should have a tinfoil hat section.
Oh my god. Oh my god, man, that's so funny.
You know,
So let's. So you're still shooting with the Sony mirrorless?
I'm shooting with my Sony A6000. I've had that camera since 2019. I love it. I can't complain about it. It's a body that was made in 2014, and it's done me good. Getting the A7R3, not the A7R4 or A7 IV, because I mean, I really have no use for A7R4. It's 60 megapixels, and it's 60 megapixels for no reason, and I can't complain about it.
Yeah,
It's
I checked into the chat a little while ago, and Yoast Aviation was asking, "What's your next camera on the buy list?" So I guess that answers that question.
so. All right, Samantha. My next camera is the A7, the A7R3. It's only 15 shy of the new one, but still, the file itself is so big, and you have to have
Yeah,
a computer that can take it, and the storage for to Lightroom and then export it. Even the JPEG is going to be huge, and I mean 45 megapixels. I've used it because I knew somebody that had it. You can zoom into a plane and you can see like a kid peeping out the window or something, and if you point it at somebody's face, you're going to see the black head you didn't even know you had, type deal, and I think that's enough for me, and I've done great with it. It's not all it's not the latest and greatest or how big your camera is or anything. I mean, I didn't even have a big lens for it until now. I just got the Sony 200 to 600. I just picked it up last week, and I started shooting with. I've had a 70 to 350, and that's all I've worked with. And just the or so, or like 24 and a half megapixels that the A6000 has is enough for me. And you could crop it. Cropping the crop factor with that is great. And I really don't mind the A6000. And it's going to be a great backup camera once I get the A7R3. And I would keep that for the rest of my life.
yeah,
The only thing I do have on it that a lot of people don't have on it, because it's such a small body, is it's a what's the company? it's got a cage around it. It's got a cage around it. I forgot the company already. It's mostly used for video, so they can put it on a gimbal or whatnot. So to hold it handheld as well, so you can add a bunch of attachments around it. And I have the case around it because I want a bigger grip for it, and that was the only way I could get a better grip on it.
Gotcha. You gonna do anything other than aviation, or you thinking about other shooting subjects?
Yeah, I've actually gone out with Joe. Me and him ventured out into the Everglades a few times, and we've gotten the Milky Way. When Neowise, the comet, showed up with the conjunction of Jupiter, we were out there, and it always happens at the worst times of the year when you really don't want it to happen. Neowise happened when there was just straight up mosquitoes everywhere. And you have to dress up like we had like the neck gaiters going here. I had my hoodie tied up, so all I could see was like out of here. So all I wanted to see was the screen. What else? We got Neowise. We got Jupiter and Saturn next to each other with the Milky Way. We got Mars. I think it was Mars in conjunction with Venus out there as well too. But we just went out night shooting too, even searching for satellites and stuff, and also kept taking pictures of nebulas. And it was something it's a great experience because not only was it a great experience to be out there, it's very quiet. You got to deal with anybody, but at the same time, it teaches you a lot about your camera, the abilities of your camera, and obviously having Joe, the encyclopedia of photography for us at least, he's taught me a lot of night shooting because he loves his night shooting. He loves it, and I think it was a great experience to be out there to him to show me what your personal camera. If you sat down with him, he can show you, but you have to be willing to do it yourself too. Someone can teach you a bunch of things, but you have to put it into play and troubleshoot because not everybody's going to have the same outcome as Joe or me or you or somebody else. And
I mean, that dude has 50 years
It's
experience.
a great. I think it's close to like 27, 28 years experience, but 50 sounds right.
Maybe 200 years experience. Who knows, man? That guy's been photographing forever.
Yeah,
I've done some.
He's been photographing since he was my age and the
Yeah, I've done some night photography, a lot of Milky Way photos. Early on, I did a lot of experimental light painting in the Everglades. The thing that I bought recently, and I think it was at Bass Pro Dania, they had mosquito net for the hat. So I put on a hat because, I have a lot of surface area up here for mosquitoes. And so I put on a hat, put the mosquito net over, and I just kind of stand around with that. I might look like a fool, but, man, I'm not getting – I could hear them buzzing, but I'm not getting bit at all. And I try not to keep – I spray down with off-woods, but that 100% DEET will melt our cameras. So I try to keep it off hands and watches and anything that has plastic. I try to keep it off.
Yeah, that's how you clean your what is it?
My sensor.
Clean the headlights. I can't believe that's a thing. That's how you take off the yellow or something. But
yeah, we did Neowise with Master Jedi Oscar and Omar out there just north of Miccosukee. So we're out there. And then I normally go out.
We went all the way to Day Collier.
Oh yeah.
But I think I don't know if it's open ever since that 747 landed there.
The 747 is now gone. They've torn it down completely. I
wish I had gotten a picture of it.
Yeah, I caught that, and I caught the biplane, the Cuban biplane. the Antonov 2.
That's right. The Antonov 2 that landed there. My
And
didn't
it's,
even know about it.
yeah, and then a week later, it crashed in the Everglades because of engine malfunction.
Well, they were trying to reposition it. The guy said, "Oh yeah, I know how to fly."
Yeah,
Just flipped it in the Everglades.
yeah, craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your plans on any new lenses that you're gonna get?
Like I said, I got the Sony to 200 to 600 that I do have. Probably the next one down the line will probably be the Sony 70 to 200 for the night photography, since it's a 2.8, 70 to 200 2.8 G Master. Um, any other
Nothing wide angle.
lenses? Wide angle. One that I did use that I really liked, that was like a telephoto slash wide angle, was a 24 to 240. It was a 4.5 or 4 to 6.3, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but it was a great lens that, if you wanted wide angle, you got 24 millimeters. But then if you were shooting and you needed to do something immediately and you saw a telephoto opportunity, it was a great lens to have around.
Yeah.
And it's like the Swiss Army knife of it, and I really like that. That's what I liked about my 70 to 350, even though it wasn't 24, but it could still get the shot of what I needed in case there was something close. I mean, I'd have to back up a little bit more, but it worked out.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds like we need a. I know Joe was planning a trip down to Bahia Honda to try to get some Milky Way shots, but
He did tell
he's
me
now
about
taking
that.
so when sometime in July, maybe June, July, we have
Yeah.
maybe a weekend off or
Mm-hmm.
Friday night off. Just hit well. Friday driving to the Keys is a nightmare. I don't recommend that to anyone.
I don't
Maybe later in the
either.
evening.
I've done it.
Yeah, I've done it too. Being locals, we've done all the traffic
It's
that we can do. It's craziness.
That's
Yep.
why a lot of people, when I drive from Fort Lauderdale, I don't take 95. I avoid that place like the plague. I
Yeah.
avoid that highway like it's the plague. So I'll do like 595, 75, and then Palmetto, and then Okeechobee to Springs.
Yeah, it's only like another 2 miles in distance, a total distance.
And it's the
Yes.
same time, because the same amount of time you sit in traffic, you could have been home already. And on the route that I took, I'm not going to go through all that hassle.
So we have about 8 minutes left
Mm-hmm.
before our hour is up. Let me ask you a few questions that we've gone over, for other photographers.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite aircraft, modern and warbird?
Favorite modern aircraft and warbird? What was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite warbird, I'm in between the P-51, but I love me a Corsair. I like the P-51. It's a very basic answer, but I think I have the top three. Top three has to be either P-51, the F6F Hellcat, or the Corsair. I'm in between those. I still can't choose which one, because every time I look at one, it kind of just attracts the eye. So I don't know which one to pick. But airliner, see, when you say the Corsair, I'm like, yeah, and then I just forget about the other two. But that has a nice Hellcat. But then you look at a P-51, you can't go wrong with this one. But in the case of the airliners, I could tell you the best plane ever made was the 757. She is a sleek looking bird, and I love it. It's a plane that, when I was a kid, the reason I started loving aviation was because my grandmother, when I was 3 years old, she gave me a plane that is actually, it's up there somewhere. I have it up on a shelf, and it's an Eastern Airlines 757, and she gave it to me die cast. You know how toys were toys, how it was a die cast, like when you got a car and you smashed it against the wall, nothing happened to it, paint never chipped. It was like that, but this I didn't do that. I kept it pristine because it meant a lot to me because it was the plane that started everything for me. That's the reason I loved aviation. And then sadly, a year later, she passed, and all I was left was with this plane. And I cherish it every moment that she was the one that got me into aviation because she gave me that small little plane, and it started from that. And look at where I am. I've met you. I've met a whole bunch of people. I've met you, Julius, Joe, Samantha, everybody Mike, Alf, Omar, and even just working in the tower, all these different things. You realize one little thing can make such a big deal in your life. Just an object. And I look at it every day wondering, what if I didn't get that plane? Would it?
You'd be a valet driver.
I'd be whipping somebody's Porsche. I'd be whipping somebody's Porsche and thinking for a test drive.
So it's a Porsche test drive, or realtor, or who knows, whatever. What's the other cliche local Miami jobs that people have down here?
What is the cliche jobs that? What is it? The ridiculousness that they think they can make. Yeah, the day trader, the crypto guys, or whatever. When they're like, "Oh, we make a ton of money," and you're like, "No, you don't. Don't fool us."
It's Miami is interesting. A bunch of interesting characters. It's a little crazy. It's a lot crazy. Miami.
It's a lot crazy. That I will say, it is a lot crazy. It's an interesting city in itself, and I tell people I love it. I love Miami. It'll always be my home. But if I had to move somewhere, if I had to live somewhere, probably be like Tampa area because it's a lot more calm, chillax.
Yeah.
Maybe Orlando because my sister lives there, and I've dealt with people in Orlando. I mean, they're still crazy over there. Everybody's got their crazy.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, man. We have these experiences, and sometimes the experiences are good, sometimes they're bad. There's so many variables. I truly believe everything happens for a reason. Being open to certain things, knowing your limit. We discussed that last episode with Audrey. Saying yes and being open. Also, what was it? The main thing was manifesting things that you want in life. How I've manifested for the last 18 years to do something different. So it took me a little while, but I got there. So
just like with my supervisor today, everybody's asking me when I'm going to the academy or what offer letter for the academy, as you know. But not everybody. Like I told my sister one time, because she was like, I don't want to stay in Miami. I want to go back to Orlando. And I told her, not everybody's time. Not everybody has the same. Everybody's doing this. Oh, this person has kids. This one bought a house. Not everybody is on the same timeline. I feel like everybody's fast pacing their way through life, and I think everybody gets what they want in different times. Not everybody's on the same pace as everybody. Because somebody's like, oh, I got kids, I got married, and then they're like, wait a minute, but I need to have kids and married. Not everything's planned the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
But it'll come. And I tell people, just I tell my friends and I tell my family, if you manifest it, if you do good in the world, and it's going to be a great thing for you, and you're going to be blessed with it, and it's going to be a great and you're going to be blessed with what you want because of what you've done for others and for not only yourself, not only for yourself too.
Yeah. Well, I hate to end it there because we have so much more to talk about, but we reached our hour, and I want to say thank you
Yes,
for coming on. We're definitely gonna have to do another one, and hope to see you at Miami
yeah, for sure.
at the end of the month.
Yeah, man. Of course, I'll be there. I don't know what you're doing the Monday after because we usually go to Opalaka with Joe
I'm not sure what.
on the
Yeah,
Memorial Day. We usually go over there and take pictures of the
I'm not sure
jets.
yet. I haven't decided,
So,
but we'll figure it out. We'll talk.
okay,
All right,
okay,
man. Thanks for coming on. Sorry
yeah, no
about the
problem.
technical issues again, but it was really good talking to you.
That's fine.